I thought my chimney was big, but this one is beyond belief.
It's the least one can say. I've been longing for a warm fire for ages.
Since I set foot on the island, I haven't ventured more than 2 yards away from it.
Have you also just arrived?
Oh, late morning, I'd say.
Louis, come join us. Monsieur, may I introduce you to Monseigneur His Eminence, Cardinal Piaggi. He joins us straight from Rome.
Oh, just call me Your Eminence. It's simpler.
George Washington, President of the United States of America.
Delighted at last to make your acquaintance, Mr. President.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. President. Louis Moras de Richet. It is an honor to meet you.
Young man, let's keep it simple, please. Let us forget our fancy titles. Nice to meet you, Louis.
I should imagine you never thought you'd be in such company.
I must admit that I didn't. It's the first time that I've ever met so many illustrious personalities.
And you haven't seen anything yet. Generally, when Lord Mortimer organizes one of his receptions, there are over a dozen people here.
They can't all be here yet, and you'll see, most of the time there's only the upper crust.
And I noticed you were already getting to know His Eminence at the entrance. It's the perfect place to build up a network. What were you talking about, if you forgive my indiscretion?
At the risk of disappointing you, we weren't conspiring in our corner, sir. His Eminence was simply telling me that he knew my mother and how much he held her in high esteem.
It so happens that Monsieur de Richet's mother is to join us.
Oh, pity. No scrumptious gossip or juicy tidbits, unmentionable secrets, or even money matters. But you'll see, it will come. Despite all the goodwill in the world, you can't stop people scheming left and right around here.
Speak for yourself, sir.
Well, my friends, do any of you know the reason why we're here this time?
Not in the slightest. As for me, I've been invited by Sir Holm, a close friend of Lord Mortimer, but I do not know the reason why.
You see, Louis, every time Lord Mortimer organizes a reception, he always finds a moment to set up a chat with all the guests.
During which time we remake the world.
Accompanied by gallons of absinthe and cussing. I'll leave you to imagine the result.
So, if I understand rightly, Monsieur de Richet, you've come out here to join your mother. For what reason, exactly?
Lord Mortimer asked me to drop everything and come find my mother, who seems to have disappeared during her stay here.
Ah.
I took the first boat, and here I am.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be, sir. It's not your fault.
Seriously, though, I know your mother well. Stay behind with me afterwards, and we'll take a moment to speak about her.
Good Lord! Washington is wearing the emblem of the Grand Master of the Golden Order. It's the highest distinction of the Order in the United States. It puts him on par with my mother. He must really know his stuff when it comes to the occult.
Good evening, my friends.
Holy shit! That's the man for my vision.
An urgent case has delayed our host, Lord Mortimer. He can't be present this evening, and he sends his deepest apologies.
He's asked me here and he hasn't even turned up? Great start. Do you know that man?
Sir Gregory Holm, an English aristocrat, very influential. He's also close to Lord Mortimer, so don't be surprised if he acts like he's at home.
And now, my dear guests, a light meal is served in the small salon. For those who would like to, you're invited to follow me into the next room.
My dear fellow, you must have read my thoughts. I shall follow.
We'll have to be careful not to make too much noise. One of Lord Mortimer's guests is relaxing.
Oh, we shall be quiet.
Don't take it the wrong way, Sir Holm, but I have already eaten. Thus, I shall be happy to remain by the fireside.
If you don't mind, Gregory, I should like to keep Mr. Washington company.
Please feel at home. And you, sir?
If I stay with Washington, we'll be able to speak about my mother. But on the other hand, I'd like to learn more about this home. I saw him in my vision. Let's see what Washington has to say.
Sir, if you don't mind, I shall stay here.
Do exactly as you please, young man.
Louis, thank you for staying. Just like you, when I arrived this morning, I found out that Sarah had gone missing. I know your mother well. Don't worry. Emily is from the English branch of the Golden Order.
And President Washington is in fact the leader of the Order in the United States.
I didn't know.
Sorry to have made you wait, but I didn't want to speak in front of the others.
You did well. Secrecy and discretion are the pillars of our organization.
If I can help in any way at all, please don't hesitate to ask, my lad. And if you have any other questions, now's the time.
And you, Emily, what do you think of my mother?
I only know her through the Order. The one time we met, we only exchanged a few words in a corridor of Parliament.
And was the exchange courteous or impassioned?
I'm not sure if I understand.
Was there any reason for her to be angry with you?
Under other circumstances, I would slap your face for even asking, but I'll put your lack of tact down to her disappearance. Know that your mother is a woman I would love to work with. Her reputation is entirely deserved. Mr. Washington will be able to tell you more.
Mr. Washington, you seem to be very familiar with my mother.
When did you last speak to her?
Philadelphia, 15 years ago. Sarah often went back and forth between France and the United States.
Yes, I remember those days. I didn't see her too often. Right. Would it be too much if I asked you a few more questions?
Not at all. Go ahead. But I can't promise I'll remember everything.
May I ask, when you saw each other, what did you talk about?
My mother has always been fascinated by strange powers. Did she talk to you about anything like that?
Yes. Her facility for discerning truths from rumor served me well. Such as preventing massacres, like the one at Salem, from happening again. Or convincing people that horsemen cannot ride around without heads. What was it that she used to say now?
Keep an open and logical mind?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you, sir. I was hoping to speak with Lord Mortimer. At least now I have some information, thanks to you.
I repeat, Lord Mortimer is a man of his word. You won't be disappointed. And I am persuaded that your mother's research is his main concern.
I wonder if Mother is still on the island. Could she not have taken a boat and left?
I don't see how. No vessel can moor closer than 200 yards. Not to mention the permanent presence of staff and servants. There is one strange thing, I grant you. This island is barely the size of Delaware, and despite that, no one has been able to locate your mother.
So my mother still must be on the island.
Don't worry, Louis. I'm sure nothing bad has happened to her.
Yes, I hope not.
Careful, they're coming back.
Well, I am impressed with all this splendor.
But don't spend too much time with Mr. Washington, my dear, or you'll lose your pretty accent. You seem to be intrigued by that statue.
Absolutely. It is remarkable.
Lord Mortimer is fond of atypical works of art. I won't disguise the fact that I find it all a little megalomaniacal. But I must say, he does have some outstanding pieces.
Sir Holm, who was that young lady with you?
Elizabeth Adams, Mr. President. She would have liked to have stayed with us, but the poor thing is exhausted.
Elizabeth Adams?
Just mentioning Elizabeth totally changed Washington's attitude. Looks like he just saw a ghost.
Miss Adams is here to rest. You have perhaps already come across her in the corridors. She arrived a few days ago.
I perceived her, but we weren't introduced.
Rest assured, she is not here for the same reasons as yourselves. Consequently, I'm counting on your indulgence. On that note, it's very late. You must be exhausted. The servant will accompany you to your rooms.
Ladies, gentlemen, I bid you all good night. Mr. President, Your Eminence, Duchess, you have the same rooms as usual. You, Monsieur de Richet, will find your room at the end of the corridor.
Well, my friends, I am bone tired. I am off to my bed. See you in the morning.
Good night, sir. I shall do likewise.
Louis, I shall see you in the morning. Sleep well.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Oh man, it's been quite a day. Right, where is my room? Duchess Emily Hillsborough. Duchess Emily Hillsborough. Duke Manuel Godoy. Huh, that's me. Right. So what shall I do with this letter? It might be about my mother's disappearance. But if I open it, I'll be betraying Piaggi's trust. What should I do? Okay, let's see what it contains. Too bad for Piaggi. So, it really is a list of French countrymen. Piaggi wasn't lying. But now it's opened. I better get it to Mother soon. Wow! Nice room. Mortimer sure doesn't do things halfway.